Let's move on to Impact Wrestling. Former WWE and Showtime boxing commentator will return to the headset this weekend. Mauro Ranallo will return to wrestling. He'll be on the call for the title match in the main event of TNA's Rebellion pay-per-view this weekend between Rich Swann and Kenny Omega, which is a title-for-title contest. A lot of people are excited for that, but I am most excited to see Mauro Ranallo, arguably the best living commentator right now there is in all of sports.
That's very arguable. That is very arguable, but I'm on your side. I love him. I think he's amazing. I think he makes most sports better.
He does. And whether he's doing boxing, whether he was doing wrestling, like if we talk about Mauro Ranallo doing wrestling, when he was in WWE, nobody touched him on commentary. There was absolutely nobody in his stratosphere. And it is criminal, by the way, that WWE never had him on a call for WrestleMania.
Exactly.
Criminal that he was never on the call for WrestleMania. But, ignoring all of that, I am so excited to see him back. He has the iconic Mauro Ranallo voice. He's got the best, calls in the business. So I'm excited to see this. I'm a huge Mauro mark. Trevor, what do you have to say? Are you excited? What do you think about Mauro Ranallo calling the main event Impact Rebellion this weekend?
In the words of the great himself, Mamma Mia! I can't wait. I think it's going to be great. I love the guy. I think Mauro Ranallo is probably was one of the best things about TNA. I mean, not TNA, NXT. And to me, that's saying something because the product in NXT has been good. Has always been good, but him and McGuinness were on the commentator was so great. And let's talk about McGuinness and Nigel too. I thought Nigel did a damn good job as a commentator. But yeah, I thought both of them back and forth. They played off each other very well. Even after Nigel left, and he was doing it with the Glamazon, and I forget the other one person with them. But even then, he played off them very well. They played off him very well. Don't get me wrong, the commentators now at NXT are good, but they're not Ronaldo. They're not Ronaldo at all.
No, you could put him up with what JR is doing in AEW right now, and it's just not even close. Exactly. God bless JR. We love him, and I actually love to hear him on the call. But Mauro is the best in the business.
Still doing a good job too. But like you said, I think Ronaldo is probably the best in the business.
Yeah, and look, if this is his kind of gateway back into wrestling, I don't want him to actually go back to WWE because we'll talk about it in a minute. I don't want him to put up with all the stuff he put up with there because what they did to him was bad. What WWE did to Mauro Ranallo was just terrible. But when we're talking about him, Mauro Ranallo is someone who is professed. He loves wrestling. He loves doing boxing and all the other stuff too. But he grew up a wrestling fan, he took he could have taken a lot more money to come back to WWE, do NXT, because he's the biggest literally sportscaster there is. But he said no. I like to call wrestling. I enjoyed it when I didn't have people screaming in my ear every 5 minutes and then people bullying me. But we'll get to that in just a minute. But I think if this is his gateway back, whether he goes to Impact, I think if Ranallo is on Impact is automatically infinitely better show because you get the credibility with the guy on the call, and you get the entertainment factor. You don't get the boring. Love Josh Matthews to death, but Josh Matthews.
Have you watched the Impact recently with D'Lo?
It's Brown? Not great.
And yeah,
it's not great. I love D'Lo too.
I love him, but damn.
I love D'Lo.
Maddox is so bad.
Oh, we don't talk about that. But look, I think if he goes to Impact, it'd be fine. But if Ranallo goes to AEW, when I'm talking about if AEW wants to become the major league, if AEW wants to become the best wrestling show there is, I don't know how you do it. Find a way. If you find a way to get Mauro Ranallo back into wrestling full time, and he's the play-by-play guy for AEW pay-per-views, for AEW Dynamite every week, you're gonna see your audience increase, and you're gonna see that audience stay.
Exactly.
And
because
you're
gonna
gonna
have
also
people that followed him from boxing, from MMA, from from other things to come watch. And honestly, that may not be a hard sell, especially since I believe JR is probably gonna retire soon.
Yeah, and I think God bless Jr. again. I think he was. I think they needed Jr. AEW needed Jr. in the beginning. You definitely needed him for the first year, 2 years, whatever, right? To give credibility to the product, and like I literally if and I like the fact that they did that. They did that with JR on a call. They did that with Chris Jericho by giving him the AEW title. Those were perfect moves because it wasn't just former WWE guys going over to AEW. It was these people who had built themselves throughout their career, who people trusted, who people knew would deliver and would show up to watch for. And people did. That's how AEW got over 1 million viewers last week, and we'll talk about that. But I think moving forward now, if they want to find their own voice, kind of want to take it to the next level, and I think there's no one better. If JR does retire, if JR does move on, whatever, right, to a different role in AEW, there's no one better than Mauro Ranallo. There's absolutely no one in the sportscasting business better than Mauro Ranallo. He was calling, dude, he was creative too. He was so creative on his calls. The Mamma Mia, everyone loved it. The little camera they had in front of him from his shows, that was amazing. Like he adds to the matches and he doesn't take away. No. Like that is perfect. He adds to the match by giving you emotion, by getting you energized through his energy, his voice. But he doesn't take away from it, which is what a lot of commentators do. He doesn't put himself over at all. That's the best thing about Mauro Ranallo as a commentator. He never once puts himself over. And we've seen with commentary, a lot of people, like to snicker. Michael Cole likes to snicker a lot on commentary. Ranallo doesn't do that. Ranallo is very business. And I think that's part of it is like he's talked about his mental health and how he kind of loses himself in the moment, right? And This is kind of his escape. And I think that's great.